Washington, D.C., 4th of July, two autistic kids. What could possibly go wrong?
I know. That was one of the great trips that we took this year. That was a lot of fun.
Yes,
It was the first time flying
it
with
was.
our children. Both of them are autistic, and that was an experience of its own.
Yes,
So, one recommendation I do have, I think we're going to do a video on flying with a wheelchair and flying with the autistic children. But
yes.
one short takeaway I've got here is TSA Cares is a program that you can actually contact them and schedule one of their agents to help you through the security at the airport, and
Right.
that is an immense help if you need that help.
Yes, for sure. Um, I know that we did encounter a problem as soon as we got there.
Yep, with your wheelchair. Yep.
Yes, thought it was damaged, but luckily it all worked out.
But it was damaged. The some of the bolts on the backrest actually
Right.
did pop loose. But we got lucky; those bolts happened to fall into your seat cushion, and we were
The
able to
back,
recover
yeah.
those bolts and put them
Mhm.
back in.
So, yes, that's what I said. We were very lucky. And that was the only mishap. Starting off,
Correct.
anyway,
So,
um, it, I liked it because for the accessibility part, we flew into Ronald Reagan, also known as DCA, correct?
yes,
And once you get there, you get your luggage. It took us a little bit longer because of the mishap with the wheelchair in the beginning. Kids were not happy about it. Kids were ready to go. But it was nice that the metro is attached to that airport.
it is. It's right
So
there by the parking garage. You can just walk right to it and jump
they have
right on it.
machines for you to get your metro pass. Um, so I mean that was really nice as far as being able to travel and not have to rely on an accessible vehicle to get from place to place.
Right. In fact, that entire week that we were there, a little more than a week, we didn't take a taxi once.
No, we didn't. And our youngest loved trains. Our oldest enjoyed it as well. So going on the metro, I mean, he would have been perfectly content just doing that the entire time.
He could have made a vacation out of just
Yeah,
the metro. Yes.
yes, he really got into scanning his card to get through the gate.
Yep. Yeah, he likes
So
routines, and that was a great routine for him
it
to
was,
learn how to scan his cards and ride the metro.
yeah.
And then our hotel, we had a great location.
It was an awesome location. I will give you that.
It was a Holiday Inn right there behind the Air and Space Museum. It was about a block
A
behind the Air
block.
and Space Museum, so we could easily walk to the National Mall, which for the 4th of July especially is very important because it gets so crowded there. You hear people talking about taking the metro for hours after the fireworks celebration
Yeah.
ends on
And we
4th
were
of
able
July.
just to walk. Even that was still crowded, but at least, we didn't have to deal with the metro.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, you would have been waiting hours to get a ride out of there.
Yeah, the only downside to the hotel for me, it didn't seem to bother him or the kid, is it is right next to a railroad track. So I'm a light sleeper, so I felt like I didn't get enough sleep while we were gone. And I even got earplugs while we were there.
Yeah,
It didn't help.
it was pretty loud right there, and we did ask the hotel if they could move us. All
Yeah,
the handicap accessible rooms were on that side of the building, and they
yeah.
did not have any up on higher floor.
So that's the only downside about that. But next time, maybe take some
So
Benadryl with you or something to
yeah,
help you sleep.
if the noise doesn't bother you,
Yes,
this would be a great option. If you're sensitive to noise, you probably need to look somewhere else.
yes.
And that was the Holiday Inn right there on the National Mall, just behind the
Air and
Smithsonian Air and
space.
Space Museum. Um, we did, as far as Smithsonian museums, we did
Right.
the Natural History Museum.
Yes.
That was with the dinosaurs and the mummies and
Yeah.
the different animals and things,
Mm-hmm.
and the Hope Diamond.
The Hope Diamond's really pretty.
There
All
was,
their jewelry is, but that's really pretty.
there was, and then we did the American History Museum.
Yes.
That the big flag and the old glory flag, that was really neat to see.
Mm-hmm.
They had a exhibit that the boys absolutely loved down on one of the lower levels with all the different old trains and automobiles.
Yeah,
Yep,
we have pictures of them in that as well.
that was really cool to
Yeah.
see. Yep.
During our stay of 4th of July last year was, as you mentioned, we were right behind the Air and Space Museum. It was currently closed for the renovations. It is open now. Um, so we didn't get to see it during the stay with the kids, although we have seen it previously.
Right. And I'm sure we'll be going back. So if you guys
Yeah,
want to see that in a future video, leave us a comment below. Let us know.
yeah,
So we did make it out to the Air and Space Museum out there by Dulles, though, that
yeah.
Stephen Udvar Hazy version. And honestly, if you can make it to that one, that's the better of the two to see.
It is. It was really cool.
It has uh, it has a lot of other exhibits, but that was most of the day between getting out there and getting back because we took the gray line, the
Yeah,
gray metro line, out there to the end, and then we had to transfer to a bus, which took about another 20 minutes to get us
right.
there.
But it's all accessible, so you don't have to worry about trying to get a taxi or something that can cost more than what we paid for on the metro and the bus.
Very, very easily. One
Yeah,
ride would have cost more than we paid for the whole week.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it is very accessible to do with their transportation. We like it because again, we're from Florida, so they had was it? It was the Discovery
Yep. Space Shuttle
shuttle. Was it?
Discovery.
Yep. So that's
They
pretty cool.
they also had the SR-71 Blackbird,
Yeah,
which is my personal favorite jet.
yeah.
And,
So much. And then they even had a room, windows where you could watch them work on the stuff there.
yeah, they had like a restoration hangar where they were
Yeah,
working on future exhibits, restoring them, and you could actually see them doing the work on those, which was really cool.
it was really cool.
They also had the Concorde was there. That was really cool to see. The
Yeah.
Enola Gay, which was the plane that dropped the atomic bombs,
Mm-hmm.
or at least one of the atomic bombs.
Yeah.
Um, what else?
They had a food truck outside. We didn't do that, but they had some food options inside. So, we were there around lunchtime. Again, if our kids aren't routine, so if they don't get what they're used to, it can be meltdowns and whatnot. But it was nice that that was available and that was there
It
as
was
well.
a good option. It's your
Yeah.
typical cafeteria food court type food.
Yeah, but it,
And it was a little pricey, but given that you were in a tourist attraction, it really wasn't that bad.
no, and it was actually pretty good.
Right. And
So,
so far, all of these museums are free to go into.
yeah,
They're all publicly accessible museums.
unless you get souvenirs and food and stuff like
Those
that,
kind of
that's
things. Right.
extra, like everywhere else.
Right. What else did we do? We did the Spy Museum.
Yeah,
This I can't recommend this enough. This was excellent. This was our second time doing the Spy
right,
Museum. The
but this was
first time at the new location.
correct. And it was a lot of fun. We'll post some pictures up and show you a few things there as well. Um,
Yeah, there's a
so
lot of
much.
interactive exhibits that the kids could
Yes.
play on and go through.
You kind of have to wait your turn, which, they don't understand. Why am I just standing here? Why can't I go? But we had to teach them to wait their turn. So it's a good teaching moment too at times, as long as it's not an excessive line, because then we'll have to
Right.
go do something and come back. But yeah, they enjoyed it.
Right. There was a big portion of that was interactive, where you had a badge and you were given a cover story and you had to
Yes,
maintain your cover story and
right.
scan in at different kiosks and answer questions and solve puzzles, which was a lot of fun for us.
Yeah,
The boys
that's
cognitively
yeah,
they just couldn't process a lot of that, but they still had fun with the touch screens and trying to
yeah,
play a game on it.
yeah. So I mean, that's what we did. We just let them do their own thing,
Let
and
them experience it the way they
yeah,
experience it.
right. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're
Mm.
having fun. So, but then when they're done, they're done. They're like, let's go.
Yep, I
So,
think that was a great visit, and I'd do that every time we went.
and that is an extra cost. So you have to take that into account for your budget for your trip.
It is. It was
Um,
around $20 per person, and I'd say the visit lasted probably 2 to 2.5 hours.
Right, because there are some places that you can go in there and you can watch a video and things like that.
Right, it's
Wow.
self-paced. You can take as long as you want
Yeah,
going through there, but the average person, I think, would run through it in about 2 to 2.5 hours.
yeah. So that again, it was a lot of fun. Another thing that we did for the kids was the children's museum,
Right. Yeah.
which is an extra cost as well.
That was also an extra cost. Right. And we'll include some photos of that here in this video.
Yes,
There was a lot of things in there that they really liked. A lot of interactive toys and
yes, and it let them get some of their energy out. They had slides again. Brandon wanted to stop and stay in the slide.
yeah, it was like a big 3-story slide that they were able to climb
Yeah,
up through this playground mesh and then slide back
yeah,
down on.
they had a lot
They
of
did
fun
that
with
a
that.
lot. Yep.
Yeah,
They had a lot of like the same type of things that you might see in like a children's science museum, different weird chairs that rolled around funny and big bubble makers and things that
hmm
blew handkerchiefs through different tubes and stuff like that.
Brandon's into cars, so he liked where you could drop your little
Race
derby
cars,
car
right?
down to see, who would get there the fastest. So he took some time on that as well.
That
Um,
was fun. I don't know that I would do that again just because of the cost involved, and it really only entertained them, I'd say, for about an hour to an hour
yeah,
and a half.
we kind of had to keep encouraging them to do stuff.
Yeah, it did. Once
So
they got going, they did enjoy things like the
yeah,
slide. They kept going on that over and over again. But
hmm
I mean, there's a lot of options if you just want to go on a slide.
yes, there is that you don't have. Yeah.
Right.
Um, we also did the Washington Monument.
Yeah.
That was fun going up inside of that. Um, I know you can go to, I believe it's rec.gov is their website. I'll have him put the link down. Um, it says that you can try and get your tickets ahead of time. They open the window for that. I kept checking and checking and checking, and we weren't successful at that. So I know you were
No,
able,
the way we got tickets, and it took me 2 tries to do this. The
yes,
first time I realized I wasn't there early enough. Um, right in front of the Washington Monument, there is a ticket booth that hands out tickets for that day. They start doing this first thing in the morning. They
right,
start handing them out somewhere around 8:30 a.m. But if you get there at 8:30 a.m., you're going to catch the very end of the line, and you're probably not going to get your tickets. So if you
which
look
is
at the sign in front that says, "Hey, we open up at 8:30," thinking you'll get there at 8:30 and get a ticket, that's not going to happen. Get there at about 6:30.
right, which is what you did while I was at the hotel with the kids. So only one person has to go, not everyone.
Yeah, one person can get up to 6 tickets.
So just kind of keep that in mind if
And
that helps you out with your kids.
yep, and that is fully wheelchair accessible.
It is.
Yes, you were able to ride up in the elevator, ride back down.
There was one spot that I couldn't do because there were a couple stairs or um, that other people were able to do. But
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
think
I
that
really missed
was
out on much.
like a step to see out a window or something like that.
Right. But there's four different windows that you can see out.
Correct.
So,
Yep. And then you don't really realize it on the way up because the way the elevator's made, the windows are frosted.
yeah.
But on the way down, for periods of the descent on that elevator, they turn those windows transparent.
And it,
And you're actually able to see some really cool stones that are carved into the monument itself on the inside that different
that was
states
awesome.
and organizations donated for the construction of the monument.
Yes. Um, I don't think we were able to fully enjoy it the way we would have liked because our youngest, again, it was a lot of new things on this trip. He had his tantrum, was yelling and screaming. I think he was just scared.
Yep, he
Um,
was he was nervous, and
yeah,
it was
and
just
that's
like
how
on the
he was
flight out
expressing
there.
it.
On the flight out there, he was very nervous about the flight, but coming home, he did the flight
He was
fine.
for
So
yeah. So I think
he just
whenever
has
we
to
go
get
back,
through things one time, and then he's
right.
good.
So hopefully, whenever we go back, we can try and do this again, and we'll have a different experience.
I think so. What about
Yeah.
the fireworks?
Oh, the fireworks. that you, if you haven't experienced it, you have to experience it. We got there early because we were told, it fills up. We want to make sure that we got a good spot.
Right.
And we know that they shoot the fireworks off of
They
by
shoot
the
them off
reflection.
the reflecting pond
Right.
between the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial.
Correct.
So if you're at the Lincoln Memorial or the Washington Monument, you've got a pretty good vantage point.
Yes. So we were by the Washington Monument. I'm sure, if you haven't, you have probably seen it. The Washington Monument has gates, chain link around it. So we were actually almost right up to that chain link gate, and we could see the reflecting pond, and we were there hours ahead of time.
Right.
And
Well, you being in the wheelchair, I wanted to make sure that we were towards the back and towards the top of that hill so that you'd be able to see over people as well.
right, which did help for
Yep.
sure. And our kids don't like people being too close to them. They kind of like their space. So I kicked my sandals off and kind of put them out a little further to kind of get us that extra space. Our
Right.
youngest, he just kind of laid on the grass and he was perfectly content. He surprised us.
That was probably my biggest shock of the entire trip is how much he enjoyed just
Yes,
sitting out there in the field and waiting and just
yes.
he was very patient.
He was very, very patient. Yes,
Yep.
I was thoroughly impressed because I thought we were going to have our hands full with him.
Right. And that was actually a lot of fun. There was some food trucks out there and vendors with different drinks and snacks and
Yes,
things. So, you were able to stay hydrated and watch that. We
yes.
got there, I'd say, about 2.5 hours before the fireworks started. We staked out our
Hmm.
claim there on the grass and took some pictures and just enjoyed ourselves watching them.
We did. We actually saw Air Force One, three of them.
No, you saw Marine One.
Marine One,
Yeah,
yes. Sorry, I knew what I was thinking. We saw them fly over.
right.
So that was kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I don't think the president was actually on board when we saw him. I think
True.
it was either part of the event or
But
maybe practice, but
yeah, but
it was still pretty cool to see.
yeah,
Yep. So yeah, we stuck around for that. After the fireworks, it was a massive crowd, like any other massive venue that you go to when it lets out all at once.
yeah.
It's a big moving crowd, and if you have children like ours that are autistic, or if you have a wheelchair, that can really be difficult to navigate. You just got to
No,
move slowly and be patient.
but that being said, with the wheelchair for me leaving that, people were mindful.
Most people are, but
Yeah,
it gets so crowded that you just have to be very careful.
and it's dark, so I mean, it's not like I have lights on my wheelchair, but so they might not see me. But we tried to stay on the lit path.
Right. Once you got
So
about a block away, it really kind of loosened up, and it wasn't
yeah,
that bad. But the first block or so was pretty rough.
yeah, we just followed the crowd.
So something else that we did was the National Zoo,
Yes, we did.
and
Little tidbit on
yeah,
that.
a tip on that: if you're going to the National Zoo and you're taking the Metro line, it's the red line. And there's two stops that can get you to the National Zoo. One of them is called Woodley Park Zoo, and you would think that's a stop you want to get off at.
Don't get off there.
If you do, it's about the same distance to get to the zoo. The problem is you're going to be walking uphill. If you go
Hmm.
one more stop beyond that, you then will be walking downhill to get to the zoo.
So
I definitely recommend that, especially if you're in the wheelchair or walking with some young children.
yeah,
Go to that second stop.
for sure, it will make it easier on everyone in your party. Um, I mean, in a wheelchair, it's no different to me going uphill or down here. It's different for y'all that
We
have to
definitely
walk it.
feel it. Yep.
Yeah, so for sure, get off at the next stop and walk downhill. It's definitely easier.
Right. We ate at some great restaurants while we were there.
Which one did we eat?
Well, we ate at quite a few. We did Capital City Brewery.
Well, no, not at the zoo.
No, not at the zoo. I'm talking about after the zoo.
Okay. Well, the kids did enjoy the zoo.
They did, but there's no good food at the zoo.
No, there's not.
Eat somewhere else.
For sure. You can bring in snacks and stuff into the zoo, though.
You can, and when we went, they did require reservations to get in. I believe they still do. So you're going to want to look on the Smithsonian's website to see if you need to schedule a reservation for the
And
zoo.
again, it's free. You don't have to pay for the reservation. You just need a reservation.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
So
So
food.
restaurant, Capital
Everybody
City
goes on
Brewery.
vacation for the food,
Yep.
which is fun. So we have some of our favorites that we like.
Yep. I think Brandon's favorite was probably the Cheesecake Factory, which is really only about a couple blocks, 2 or 3 blocks off the National Mall.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a pretty close one, and we did that once or twice.
we did that twice.
Yeah.
Um, we're big Cheesecake Factory fans. But we wanted to check out some of the areas that are known for the area. Not we didn't want to just eat at big chain restaurants the
Right.
entire time that you can get anywhere. Um, Day one, the day that we got there, we did Ben's Chili Bowl.
Right. That's a staple there. And
Yes, it was really good. Um, we also did, like you mentioned, Capital City Brewery.
yep, that's always been a favorite of mine every time we go there.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Mm,
Um,
what else? We did Yard House, which
yeah,
I believe that is a chain, but we don't have them down here.
yeah, we don't have them down here in Florida. Or
And Farmers and Distillers.
right, that's
Yep, that was another
another.
one we did twice.
Yeah. The thing I liked about Yard House is it's very family friendly.
It was. It's kind of a loud environment, which was good for the
Good
kids. If they
for
made
us.
some noise,
Yeah.
nobody cared. And
Um,
they actually had a deal that we found at happy hour. You could
yeah.
get a whole bunch of appetizers, and they were big appetizers
Big
for like
appetizers,
five or
half
six
off.
bucks. Yeah, they were
So I ended up doing their pizza or flatbread pizza.
I think it was a flatbread pizza, but it
Got that, and the
was a
kids
great
loved
deal.
that. They split that.
Yep, we got
Um,
nachos.
Nachos and the cheese curds, I think it was.
Right.
But lots of options. And then you got the first time we went there, you got the what was it, the yard deer?
Yes. Yep.
That's pretty big.
I'll put a picture of it up.
Yeah,
It was good.
it looks good. Um, they also have tons of food trucks around the mall, the National Mall.
There were a lot. However, the prices on those food trucks were not really saving you a whole lot on just going to a restaurant and eating. So it really came down to convenience.
Right. Or supporting, the food trucks.
Right.
So just personal preference, what y'all want.
So, so how accessible did you find Washington, D.C.?
It's very accessible, and everyone is so eager to help you in any way that they can. I just like that, although I like the location of our hotel that we had. The downside was the train tracks right outside the window. Um, if it didn't have that, I would 100% stay there again. I just loved how easy it was to get to the metro if we wanted to go over into Chinatown, or we also went out to Georgetown and
Right.
caught the bus to get the rest of the way there. And we did DC Cupcake. I've heard about them, have always wanted to try them. They were pretty good. Would I go again? Probably not.
No, I thought they were good, but
But the
they weren't any better
accessibility,
than some other cupcakes I've had.
right. But the accessibility in Georgetown, not the greatest.
Yeah, there
Um,
were a few restaurants that it was a very hot day. We wanted to get some
yeah,
drinks, and there were a few restaurants that had steps to go up and into it that you just couldn't get up to
right.
go into. Right,
Yeah, so that's the only downside about that for accessibility. It's not so easy.
right. And
But
some of their sidewalks were brick or stone
yeah,
sidewalks, which were kind of rough for you to go across.
right. And anybody knows that's in a wheelchair when you go over cobblestone, it's very pretty. It's not the smoothest ride,
Right,
especially if some of them are breaking. Um, the other thing was I liked how accessible it is by the National Mall. I mean, all of those different museums that you can go into, the ramps are there, buttons to open the doors, which Again, our youngest loves to press buttons, so he's a great helper for that.
Right.
Elevators are around to get up and down where you need to go. And the metro. The metro is so convenient.
Right. And I liked having a place where I could hang my bag on the back of your chair. I didn't have to carry it around.
Yep, he does that a lot.
Mhm.
So, or if it's anything else I need to personally hold, I hold. But overall, it's so accessible if you're in a wheelchair. Location wise, I mean, again, cannot stress how easy it is to fly into Reagan Airport, jump on that metro, and head in.
Right. And getting back out was the same.
Yes,
Yep.
we actually stopped at a mall on our way back because we had time to kill before our flight.
We did. And one or two stops away on the metro is Pentagon City Mall. It's right there
Yeah,
at the metro station. You can walk around the mall and kill a little bit of time or hit the food court.
which is what we did.
Yep.
And then we just kind of looked around, shopped, and killed some time before we had to jump back on the metro to go to the airport to leave. I don't think the kids wanted to leave. They didn't want to get off the train.
No, they didn't. They had a good time.
Yes,
So
and one of the things our kid picked out when we were in the tour shop was a little subway bus.
yeah, he picked up a little metro bus that was
Yeah,
cute. Yep, that was his favorite toy. He still plays with that all the time.
he does. Yep, and the bendy bus.
Right.
He has both. So I think he really enjoyed that. And then we got on the flight and came home. I mean, the flight back was much more easier than going up because now they knew what to expect.
Right. Okay. So, what was your favorite museum?
Which one is it that has the hope?
That's the Natural History Museum.
Correct. So I like that, but I also like the Spy Museum.
Okay. You have to pick one.
If you're going with one you don't have to pay for, the natural history. Yeah. Air and space over at Dulles is hard to beat too.
That's my favorite just because it has the SR-71 in it.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to beat. But out of a museum that you have to pay for, the Spy Museum.
Okay.
So what was your favorite? Oh,
I think the Air and
air.
Space
Yeah,
Museum is mine.
yeah,
So, for those that don't know, I was also Air Force, so I just have a thing about
yep.
aircraft
He does.
and planes. I used to work out at the Space Center as well, so it's just
Yeah.
kind of in my history.
But it was really cool at the Air and Space Museum to see the Discovery shuttle
It was. Yeah.
up so close because you see it when it was launched from here and everything, but you're never able to get up that close.
Yeah, and actually, we kind of lucked into seeing it. I don't think they do this all the time, but while we were there, they had a screen up where kids could actually interview an astronaut that was on board that shuttle, and that person was answering questions about
Yeah,
how they did this in space or how they did that, and he was just there interacting with everybody. What they had a camera set up so even people that were just walking by that didn't see it, he would, hey, you over there in the hat,
yeah, that was
and
pretty funny.
would talk to them that way.
Yeah, that was really cool.
You know,
So I mean, you
um,
really can't go wrong. I mean, all of them are different in their own ways,
see them all, but
for
if you got to
sure.
pick one, definitely see the Air and Space.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to seeing the new Air and Space that
Me too.
reopen. And again, the Washington Monument is awesome too.
What about food? What was your favorite restaurant?
Other than Cheesecake Factory, because we can get that here. I like Yard House.
I could see that. I like Farmers and Distillers a lot too.
I really can't go wrong with any of them. We're gonna have to find a really good pizza place next time.
Yeah,
We didn't do that.
I heard Gordon Ramsay opened a pizza place there.
We'll have to try that.
Yeah, give that a try.
Didn't they do a Hell's Kitchen there too?
They did. There's one of those open over by the Spy Museum now. We're definitely going to be trying that.
Yes,
So,
we hit that one up out in Las Vegas when we went there for a trip.
yeah, if you want to hear about that, leave us a comment.
Yeah,
So, I think that's going to do it for this video.
yeah. I
So,
hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the box below and we'll get back to you.
great. All right, thank you.
Thank you.